Welcome to another edition in our prediction series. This week we have picked two stocks to trade on the long side, Titan and Sun Pharma. Let's begin with Titan. Most recently, Titan has been making lower lows and lower highs. Most recently, Titan has been making lower lows and lower highs. Okay, and when we look at the RSI on each of these previous lows, there is a clear divergence on the 4-hour chart as well as on the daily chart. Let me show you that. These are our most recent lower lows, and on each of these lower lows, when you look at the RSI, you could clearly see RSI is diverging. Okay, this is on a 4-hour chart. Similarly, let's look on a daily chart. On a daily chart, it's the same story. We have RSI diverging on a daily chart as well. On each of these lower lows, we have clear RSI divergence on the daily chart as well as on the 4-hour chart. Okay, so this gives us a counter trend trade opportunity. What is our requirement for a counter trend trading opportunity? We need 3 lower lows with RSI diverging on 3 of these lower lows, and that is what exactly we have got here on Titan on the 4-hour chart as well as on the daily chart. So we have our setup in place now. Now let's understand where to place our trade. A convincing higher high from the most recent low point should be good enough to initiate a trade. To explain that more, let me drop down to a 1-hour time frame. On a 1-hour time frame, you could clearly see we have this 2 candle setup, which gives us a convincing higher high. Now this is good enough for us to initiate a trade. And where do we initiate a trade? We initiate a trade on the opening of the very next candle. Okay, now once we have our trading setup in place and we know where to place our trade, the next step or the next process is to find our targets and place our stop loss. In this case, let me switch to a 4-hour chart. In this case, this minor level of resistance can be taken as our first target, followed by this major resistance level as our second target. Let me change the color of this resistance level into red. Okay, so this will be our first target, followed by this level of major resistance, our second target. And our stop loss has to be placed just below this most recent low. There is potential for the stock price to go even higher. Okay, but for the time being, let's take these as our targets and this as our stop loss area. Okay, now something that we have to remember as traders is once we place a trade here, we should allow the stock to behave on its own, which means the price in the next few trading sessions can either move directly upwards, hit our targets, or it might push lower, consolidate a little bit here, and then push higher. So you need to have the patience if the stock price goes into a bit of a consolidation mode. You have to have the patience, and if you show the patience, you will be duly rewarded. Okay, so keep that in mind. Now let's pick our target placement tool and place our targets and our stop loss. So before that, let me remove all these lines of our charts. Okay, and pick our target placement tool. Our first target would be this, with a stop loss placed somewhere here, and our second targets would be this, with a stop loss placed here. Okay, so now let's see how this trade plays out in the next few trading sessions. Next one is a Gartley pattern on some Pharma. Take a look at the chart and you will analyze it's in an uptrend and is consolidating at higher levels. It's in an uptrend and it's now consolidating at these higher levels. As I have drawn here, there is kind of a wedge pattern forming in Sun Pharma. Usually, wedges in an uptrend leads to breakout in the direction of the trend. Here, the direction of the trend is to the upside. So when we have a breakout out of this wedge formation, it should most probably be on the upside. Okay. However, in this particular scenario, we have a possible Gartley pattern forming within this consolidation. Let me show you how. First, before that, let me take these lines off. Expand this chart a bit. Focus your attention here. This is the consolidation that is happening in Sun Pharma after this strong move to the upside. And we get advanced patterns during consolidations. And it is best to take advanced patterns in the direction of the underlying trend. Okay, so in this case, our underlying trend is on the upside. It should be safe to pick our trade on the long side. during this consolidation phase. So let me show you how we have a Gartley pattern forming in Sun Pharma. X to A leg, A to B leg. Take note, A to B leg has to come between 0.618 and 0.786 in case of a Gartley pattern. So A to B is 0.755, B to C leg, and the CD completion. The CD completion has to be extension of 1.272 extension of A to B and back to A. So that gives us this point. This is our 1.272. So that is our D completion point. This is how a Gartley pattern looks in Sun Pharma. So what we are expecting is, we are expecting the prices to drop into this level of support before bouncing back. Okay, so let's now place our target levels. In case of advanced patterns, our target levels always has to be 0.382 and 0.618. So let me show you how to spot the 0.318 and 0.618 fib levels. From A to D retracement, fib retracement from A to B gives our 0.382 and our 0.618. So this would be our first target, followed by 0.618 as our second target. Okay, so in Sun Pharma, what are we expecting? We are expecting the prices to drop into this level of support before bouncing back to hit our 0.382 and possibly 0.618 levels. Now let's see if we have any reference to support our trade. How do we look for references? ABCD patterns. This is our AB leg. Take a clone. We get our D point completion here. We get our D point completion here. Let's mark it with a green line. Okay, now let's look if we can have any fib confluences from A to B, and from this point to this point. We could clearly see there is clear confluence at this level as well as at this level. There are confluences at this level as well as this level. Since this level is too far away, let's neglect this area and shorten our target area to this point. So we are expecting prices to drop into this zone before bouncing back to hit our 0.382 and 0.618 levels. And our stop loss has to be placed below this confluence area. So our stop loss has to be placed somewhere here. Stop loss has to be somewhere here, and these are our targets. Okay, let's mark our target area with blue lines. So once again, let's see how this trade plays out in the next few trading sessions.